In this episode, Tim puts on a rodeo school showcase, but a string of unexplained events endangers it, and Amy wonders if she should visit Finn. Amy and Lou take a road trip to stop a miracle girl imposter. In the first scene of episode 10, Amy does a brief clinic and assists Lexi, a horse who has trouble turning as her rider is going to mount her. Aaron, Lexi's owner, informed Amy that there is another horse trainer out there who is making the miracle girl claims after the workshop was over. Aaron initially sought help from this other miracle girl, believing Amy to be the reason of Lexi's spinning issue, but she wound up getting harmed because she followed the other trainer's faulty advice. When Amy heard this, she hurried to her office to research this other miracle girl, and what she discovered there disturbed her. The miracle girl is a woman that appears to be Amy quite a bit online. The woman's website is crammed with hazy images of her interacting with horses, and it even has the clip of Lindy stopping the scared horse from episode 1 in it. Lou decided that as soon as she learned about this forger, something needed to be done immediately. Lou decided that a road trip to see this miracle girl fake was necessary because she had a free day. In order to get the phony miracle girl's attention, Katie and Parker messaged her pretending to have a horse issue with a gypsy vanner. And it succeeded. They asked for the imposter's address, to which she answered that she had always wanted to work with a gypsy vanner. There is no time like the present, so Lou reasoned, so Amy and she packed up and left for Glidden, Saskatchewan. That afternoon, the two arrived in Glidden and immediately went to the fictitious miracle girl's address. Lou reasoned that Amy should be the one to speak even if she is the one the other horse trainer is pretending to be. So their first encounter with Jolene, the lady posing as the miracle girl online, didn't exactly go as planned. Jolene appeared delighted to meet Amy and Lou and immediately recognized them. The conversation finished with Lou threatening legal action and Jolene threatening to file a trespassing complaint after Lou accused Jolene of using the name Amy in an internet prank. But Amy, who always saw the best in people, figured she might be able to persuade Jolene that, despite her desire to be Amy, the way she is acting is completely different from Amy. Amy returned to Jolene's property in an effort to speak with her privately. At first, everything went smoothly. The two grew close over Blaze, a client horse that Jolene was training to jump. However, when Amy began chatting with Jolene about Lexi, the horse with the spinning problem from the episode's beginning, things swiftly went south. When Amy began expressing her opinions about both Lexi and Blaze, Jolene appeared protective. Then Jolene attempted to convince Amy of her abilities by making Blaze jump, but she was knocked over. Jolene became enraged and walked away when Amy trusted her intuition and realized right away that Blaze was an ex-race horse and required a different strategy. And it didn't help that Amy informed Jolene that it was all right for her to not be aware of the need to determine whether Blaze was a racehorse because she is new to this, only for Jolene to respond by telling Amy that she had spent her entire life working with horses. Amy found a board full of pictures of her during her second visit to Jolene's home. Terrified, Amy decided to leave after giving Jolene the cease and desist letter that Lou's attorney had prepared. Amy noticed that Jolene truly didn't want to injure the horses she was working with, so when she left her home for the second time, she felt horrible. Or, for that matter, their riders. Jolene was merely attempting to emulate Amy. Amy made the decision to try one final time the following morning before leaving for home. Jolene hesitantly agreed when Amy requested her to attempt anything with Blaze that would aid in the transformation of Blaze into a leaping horse. Amy decided to go back to the beginning and ride Blaze around the pen while asking him to trot and walk alternately. The other trainer eventually had full control of Blaze after Amy begged Jolene to give it a shot. Amy urged Jolene to work on Blaze's patience and discipline to increase the horse's confidence before attempting jumps, and advised Jolene to take things time and develop her own style as a horse trainer. While Jolene expressed regret for using the term miracle girl, the two concluded their third meeting on a much more positive note, and Amy could leave feeling assured that she had not only assisted Jolene in working with Blaze and any other horses in the future, but also in finding her footing as a horse trainer. Lou and Amy made one final stop before heading back to Hudson, and it involved going to see Finn in Kindersley, Amy and Lou embarking on their road trip when Lou became suspicious about Amy. Lou, observed Amy sending constant texts to someone. Amy hesitantly spoke to Lou about Finn Cotter and how Jack had a problem with him when Lou inquired as to what was going on. However, Amy didn't go into further detail about it until the two had settled into their shoddy hotel room and were getting ready for bed. When Lou probed Amy about the Finn situation, Amy eventually revealed the truth. Amy said to Lou that Jack dislikes Finn because he believes Finn is similar to his grandfather Al and that Jack has previously stated that you shouldn't trust a Cotter. Additionally, Amy spoke to her sister about the brief minute she shared with Finn before he had to return to his home in Kindersley and how much she misses him. However, she also feels terrible about feeling this way for Finn since she thinks that by doing so, she is betraying Ty. Fortunately, Lou was there for her sister and let Amy know it was all right to feel bad because she probably hasn't felt this way about anyone since Ty. Lou then advised that Amy see Finn and express her feelings after learning that he lived in Kindersley, which is only a few towns away from where they spent the night. The two proceeded to see Finn in Kindersley the following morning after paying one final visit to Jolene and before returning home. Finn wasn't the one who opened the door when Amy eventually had the guts to get out of the car and knock on his door. A woman approached the door. The woman called Finn hun when she yelled for him before realizing that Finn was out on a client call, even though Finn wasn't even at home. Amy was surprised and rushed out the door. When they returned to Hudson, Lou tried to discuss with Amy calling Finn to find out who the woman was, but Amy swiftly cut her off and appeared to shut down herself. Will Jack ultimately be proven correct that Finn isn't a good man after all this back and forth? It's pretty difficult to say, since the actor who played Finn, Robert Cormier, tragically died in the middle of season 16 filming. They had to find a way to wrap up the Finn plot. My only wish was that they would come up with a more satisfactory solution to wrap up the Finn saga, one that wouldn't leave Amy heartbroken. It's difficult for me to envision how they could save Finn, even if I am aware that there are still 5 episodes left in this season. We also need to discuss the rest of the family now that we are aware of what Amy and Lou were up to in this episode. Start with Tim and Jessica, then. To attract more sponsors and students, Tim and Caleb were getting ready to put on a sizable presentation for their rodeo school. Tim had a lot riding on and invested in this rodeo school expansion now that they had acquired Sherry Wild's barrel racing school, which we saw in episode 8, so he was doing everything he could to make this showcase a success. Among other things, he promised in interviews that he would come out of retirement for the performance and ride a bronc. But the rodeo grounds were experiencing wild events, so things weren't going well. Sam was preparing the field for the showcase when their tractor first broke down, and when it was fixed, they found that someone had filled the diesel tractor with gas. Then, while Sam was with the plumber, all the restrooms and toilets began to overflow, and somehow all the horses, including Hagler, the bronc that Tim had planned to ride during the showcase, got out of their pen. As a result, Tim was under a lot of stress, as was Caleb, who was dealing with personal issues at home. However, the day of the showcase arrived whether they liked it or not, and for once, everything went as planned. The showcase appeared to be a success because the spectators were present and enjoying the performance. But when Tim had to ride Hagler, that's when things started to go south. Given that Jack is a rodeo legend in his own right, Tim had earlier asked Jack to assist him in setting up Tim's saddle and turning out the bronc before Tim's big comeback in Heartland Season 16 Episode 10. When Tim boarded, Jack was standing there next to Hagler. But as soon as Tim on the horse, it started to charge. Tim had just gotten off the horse when Hagler began to buck in the pen when he was knocked off and crushed beneath the horse's hooves. Unfortunately, Jack suffered terrible injuries as he fell down the chute while assisting Tim in escaping the horse. Jack was still on the pen's ground when they eventually succeeded in opening the chute and releasing the horse. Sam discovered a bag of rocks in the chute once the dust had cleared, indicating that someone had placed the bag under Hagler's saddle to drive him mad. And when Jessica went through her photos, she discovered the offender, Tim's old friend Mike McCliskey, who we first met in episode 4 and who vowed to make Tim pay for something he committed years before. Jack was loaded into the ambulance and driven to the hospital as the episode came to a close.